All right, let's dive right into this. Welcome to the explainer that's basically going to serve as your ultimate blueprint for cracking exam AB-730. If your goal is to become a certified AI business professional, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're literally opening up the hood to look directly inside the Copilot engine. We are focusing specifically on Domain 1 of the exam, which covers the absolute bare-bones fundamentals of generative AI. And you know what the best part is? The study guide makes it crystal clear. You are going to master how to use AI to drive actual business outcomes completely without building any AI apps or writing a single line of code. No way, right? But it's true. We're going to decode the exact concepts you need to know step by step. So 700. In the world of Microsoft certifications, 700 is the magic passing score you need to actually walk away with that credential. It's kind of like aiming for a great credit score, right? But here is the really critical part for our focus today. Domain 1, which again is all about understanding those generative AI fundamentals, makes up a massive 25 to 30% of the entire exam. Just think about that math for a second. That is over a quarter of your grade, depending entirely on your grasp of how these core AI capabilities actually function in a real business context. You absolutely cannot pass this exam without a rock-solid understanding of this foundational layer. So here's our game plan to conquer that 25 to 30%. First, securing your organization's data. Second, how context shapes AI responses. Third, chat versus agent experiences. And finally, Copilot across Microsoft 365. All right, kicking things off with Section 1, securing your organization's data, which really is the foundation of trust. Okay, before you can even think about drafting a document or analyzing a spreadsheet, you have to know how Copilot actually protects sensitive information. And this brings us to a core concept you absolutely need to lock into your mind for test day: data protection. I want you to think of Copilot as operating within a completely private vault. It restricts prompt results based on what a specific user actually has permission to see. So let's say a marketing intern asks a question. Copilot won't accidentally summarize the CFO's private financial spreadsheets for them. It actively identifies and mitigates risks, making sure your data doesn't leak. It's not out there training public AI models on your private company financials, it's locking them down. Understanding this secure boundary is just non-negotiable for the exam. Moving right along to Section 2, how context shapes AI responses, driven by the context engine. So you might be wondering, how does the AI actually generate highly intelligent answers without just, guessing? Well, it reads its surroundings using 3 specific inputs that the exam expects you to know inside and out. First, your work files. Second, web data. And third, the specific app environment you are currently using. When you type a prompt, Copilot synthesizes these inputs. It looks at the document you currently have open, searches the web if it needs to, and it knows whether you're sitting in Teams or Outlook. This is exactly how it crafts a highly tailored, contextual response rather than just spitting out some generic, robotic answer. To really cement this concept for the exam, think of context as your organization's memory. The exam tests your knowledge of how Copilot uses memory and instructions. By pulling in those work files and app environments, Copilot is essentially tapping into your company's collective knowledge to help you out. If you get a question on the test asking why an AI gave a highly specific, relevant answer instead of a generic one, the answer is always context, for sure. Okay, Section 3, chat versus agent experiences, the whole human-AI interaction piece. Now we're shifting gears to how you, the human worker, actually interact with the AI. On one hand, we have the chat experience. Think of this as your broad assistant. It's fantastic for general daily tasks, asking quick questions, or maybe summarizing a massive email thread you just don't have the time to read. But on the other hand, we have the agent experience. An agent is like a hyper-specialized teammate. You'd use an agent when you need custom instructions, specific capabilities, and custom knowledge bases attached directly to it. The exam really wants you to know exactly when you should just use standard chat and when you need to go to the agent store or deploy a totally new specialized agent. And hey, speaking of creating your own agent, the exam explicitly requires you to understand the specific use cases and the steps for doing just that. And again, with 0 coding required. Step 1, identify a specialized business need. So maybe you need an onboarding assistant for HR. Step 2, apply custom instructions and capabilities. This is where you tell the agent exactly how to behave and what its role is. Step 3, attach specific knowledge sources. You literally point the agent directly to your HR handbooks and policy documents. By knowing this simple 3-step workflow, you're proving to the examiners that you understand how to configure an agent that actually has targeted knowledge ready to go for your team. Which brings us to Section 4, Copilot across Microsoft 365. Basically, your app toolkit. So where does all this happen? Copilot is definitely not one static tool. It's honestly more of a chameleon. If you're in Word, Copilot's capability is finely tuned for drafting business documents from a prompt or generating a nice management summary from an existing file. But switch over to Microsoft Teams and it completely changes its tune to managing meetings, summarizing what was just said out loud, and fostering collaboration. Jump over to Excel and boom, it shifts again into an analyst role, moving data and analyzing business content. For the exam, you absolutely must be comfortable mapping the right AI capability to the core app you're currently navigating.
Master the tools, master the exam. It really is that simple. By understanding this cross-app ecosystem, like how an email drafted in Outlook fundamentally differs from a presentation generated in PowerPoint, you are proving that you possess the skills of a true AI business professional. You are taking full advantage of AI to improve your daily work and drive real, tangible business outcomes.
So we have just unpacked the real heavy hitters of Domain 1, the secure vault of data protection, the sheer power of the context engine, the critical difference between chats and agents, and the incredibly dynamic M365 ecosystem. You've looked inside the black box and you've got the blueprint, entirely without writing a single line of code. So here's the real question I want you to ponder as you dive back into your studies. Once you crush this exam, how are you going to use your very first AI agent to completely transform your team's workflow?